Okay, we're rolling here with the Good Dads Club podcast, new format, with my brother Rob. And Rob, this potentially is going to be the new format. So it looks like it'll be a you and I. You'll be a co-host. Sound cool?
Sounds good to me. I'm in.
Cool, man. So this is going to be fun for us because to tell you the truth, the format up till now has been interviewing some great dads in the club, guys having problems doing, how they've dealt with life as a fathers, and it's been so inspirational. But I'll tell you what, it's been a little bit of work for me to interview people. So this will be really cool because, we shared a bedroom growing up. We've got a lot of interesting perspectives on life, and you always make me laugh. And I think this is going to just add a whole nother element to the podcast. So thanks for being here.
I've been enjoying it from the beginning, Dave. It's been so much fun to be a part of it and to see what guys are up to and see what they're dealing with and, what they're, I think that my thing is that, what are they not dealing with? Because there's a lot of stuff too. I mean, listen, being a dad is a challenge for sure. Being a husband is a challenge. Being a guy is a challenge. But sometimes it's just fun. And sometimes it's, sometimes guys feel guilty that it's not as bad as some people have it. So, there's a lot of ways to look at it, I think.
Well, I think the element that I brought to the process has been like, hey, this, really want to help guys and guys that are struggling, guys that are having a hard time. And let's face it, those are the guys that really do need to hear the story and the conversation. But It's not everybody, and it's not all the time. So
right.
I guess I don't want to. I guess I bring a little bit of the straight guy, or more of the I hope it's not negative. I hope it's inspiring. But you, on the other hand, that we were just talking before we had this call, and we're talking about Friday roll call. Which Friday roll call, if you're not inside the Good Dads Club, and let's face it, this is the podcast, Rob. So the podcast goes out to tons of people all over the world. The podcast fan page has over 30,000 people on it. So people are hearing this thing all over the place. But if you're a dad, we have a club. And inside the club, the group is an accountability group. And we do some cool stuff in there, I think. But the Friday roll call is really, hey, how are you connecting and inspiring and guiding your kids with the time that you spend with them? And I loved your perspective. So, let that rip because people need to know who you are and what you're all about and what you're going to bring to the table.
Yeah, so I have 3 kids, right? And my oldest one is 21. He's a boy, and he's pretty much on his own. He works for Apple, and, he lives at home, but he's on his own. I don't see him on the weekends most of the time because he works Friday, Saturday, and usually Sunday. Then my middle one is 16, 17. He doesn't want to be with me at this point. And my 12-year-old girl is at sleepovers all weekend. So really, when I look at Friday roll call, and I see everybody checking in with, hey, man, we're going to be doing this and camping and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, that's great because I'm not going to see my kids all weekend. I'm literally not going to see them all weekend long. So for me, Friday roll call is, how am I going to, just kind of be cool with my wife and try not to argue and try not to get into a fight and kind of make it a nice, cool weekend and not get in trouble. A lot of it's too not getting in trouble for the weekend. So, just kind of chilling out. But, the kids, we check in. Sometimes we'll check in at midnight. When they come home, like Nick come home from work or Alex come home from wherever he's at, and he'll be like, hey, what's up? And I'll be watching a movie. I'll be like, nothing, just watching this movie. And then he's like, okay, cool. I'll sit with you for a minute. And that's our roll call. But I can't, write that down. Hey, I hope to check in with my kid at 12:30. We'll see where it goes, So it's just we're at this point now, like, for so many years, we were busy all weekend long. Friday night, something with band. Saturday, something with sports. Sunday, something with cheer. But now the kids are involved with school stuff or college stuff, as it may be. And we're just we're on the other side of it. We're watching the kids be themselves, and we're glad for that. And we're cool that they're not in trouble. And we can't wait for them to get home. And that's kind of where we're at for Friday roll call now.
Yeah. Which is just cool because I'm obviously these are my nieces and nephews. So what I'm loving about this format is we get to catch up every week and I get to find out what they're up to. But, so I've watched these kids grow up. I've been an uncle for 21 years. So the thing about that is, so how does it change? Because it seems to me like that almost sounds easier.
But, in a way it is. Except that, here's the thing. Your wife doesn't care any less. Like your mom is still mom, and dad wants the kids to try to, be their own person. and dad wants the kids to try to go out there and live life and charge at it. And mom's like, well, where are you going to be? And it's almost like the job becomes, how do we manage her more than how do we manage the kids?
Right.
Like, how do we keep her calm and cool and kind of, because especially with the oldest one, he's on his own and he's got his own set of friends and he's got some girl that he may or may not be dating. I'm not quite sure. And like, there's, what do we do with that? And how do you manage the expectations of a relationship of another person in your life? When do we go out to dinner? We invite her. Does she like us? I don't care. She does. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I'm paying for dinner for this extra person. She better like that, as far as I'm concerned. She better like the freaking dinner.
Order the appetizer.
Yeah. She ate something. She better like me for that. I don't know what to do. So, a lot of it, it's just a little bit different. You're lucky when the kids are doing okay. And it's kind of how, I guess, there's a point where you judge yourself and you think, all right, so they're doing all right. So far, so good.
Right.
I did good up to this point. Now, tomorrow might be different. But right now, things are right.
Were you always like that? Because when it sounds to me like it just seems like they're kind of, well, let's face it. Like, the youngest is she's a kid. Olivia's 12 years old. So you still have that going on. So you have you have a pretty broad spectrum of. Yeah,
every 4 years we forgot that it was a pain in the ass to have kids. So we were like, hey, let's try that again. That wasn't so bad. And we're like, yeah, I guess that wasn't so bad. So we jumped back in, and then after the third one, we were like, let's cut that off now because that's not a great idea anymore. So we stopped after that.
Yeah, I hear that for sure. Yeah, that was, we got to the end. She was like, "Well, I don't know. That maybe." I'm like, "No, I want to go on to the next phase, man. I want to get to that point where they're moving on out, so I can, it's a lot of work. That's kind of why, the so funny thing about this whole Good Dads Club is, there was people that originally were, I feel really weird about the name of the club that I'm even a member because I'm like, I don't feel like I'm a good dad. I'm like, that's the whole idea we made the club. Like, nobody feels like they're like, if you feel like you're a good dad, you don't need to be in the club.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you don't need a club. That's for sure. The fact of the matter is, like, we're all, just the fact, and I liked at one point in the club, somebody said, I don't remember who made the comment, but as long as you're a part of this club and you're trying to be a good dad, that makes you a good dad. Yeah. Just the fact that you're trying, just inside your radar that you need to make an effort.
Well, I actually said that, and I took it right out of AA. Right? You have the desire to stop drinking. So
right.
As long as you desire to be a good dad, because it's a desire. You want to try. It's a grind. The whole funny thing about this thing is it is a job. And I got to tell you, most dads had no idea. Like, guys never really. I don't know about you, but I'm just gonna speak for myself. Like, I remember this time being at a barbecue at a neighbor's house, and there was a bunch of guys hanging out on one area, having a couple beers, talking about, and I'll tell you what we're talking about in a second. And then the women were all talking over there. So the guys were sitting there, and we were like kicking back, like it's a Saturday, you're exhausted. We were just happy. All the kids were corralled into one fenced-in backyard. They were just like running all over each other. And we're looking at that scene saying, how the hell did I get here? Like 5, 6, 10 years ago, we were in Hoboken. We were out at the club and doing how
playing live.
Did I get here? I'm married. I have kids, right? Pan on over to the ladies. They're sitting there saying, we know exactly how we got here. This was on the plan in the 6th grade when they got together on the playground. They were talking about it. They knew the house. They knew the tuxedo the dude was going to wear in the wedding before they found the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a whole other thing. So guys wake up one day and like, holy shit. Like, what happened?
What the heck happened?
And that's what the club's about. It's like, we're here, and it's a self-realization, and I guess that's how it's supposed to be. Because the reality is, when I always say we align our values, it's like, well, I can't be the same idiot I was before. In my story, and we talk about my story, and you're a big part of that story. Thank you very much.
I heard about your story.
We'll talk about it in a funny way because it was just is, but
it is. At the end of the day, it is.
But the reality is that's why we as guys have to now come together, where they got together in the 6th grade and played the game and told you exactly how many kids and what the house is going to be like. we have to kind of get together and create this fraternity, basically fraternity, right?
Dave, that's a solid point, because I remember when Pam was pregnant with Nick, our oldest, and I remember, I think she might have been 4 or 5 months pregnant, and the hormones kicked in. And I remember looking at my buddies who had just had kids and wanting to beat the crap out of them, going, you didn't tell me about any of this. Like, nobody warned me that this was going to go down. And they're like, hey, it ends soon. I'm like, screw that. You didn't tell me it was coming, period. I mean, that's a big part of it, I think. There's a lot that happens. And I think about, like, our members of the club who are just having kids now. Scotty, who we talked about just last week, who just had a baby. And, there's a lot of stuff that happens that, sorry we didn't warn you beforehand, but there's a lot of change that's coming. You're right about that. We were not prepared for that. No one told us. Where you're right. Maybe a lot of the ladies have been talking about it for quite a while.
It's funny you say that, because I don't know about you, but I've done this. My wife and I have done this, and when people have kids, and if you don't, obviously you're a dad, so everybody knows this if you're in the club, but people with kids want people without kids to have kids. So they're not going to tell them that on purpose.
Like, so they're not alone.
We literally, we consciously did that to our neighbor, and Anthony's in the club. But Anthony and Heather, we love them, our next door neighbor. They're so cool. But when we first got married, we were first in our town, Glen Rock, we had Max, and we were like, exhausted and tired, and put him to bed. And every Friday and Saturday night, we just like finally put him to bed, crash on the couch, and I hear put. And Anthony would pull his little Porsche out of the driveway, his cute little Porsche, him and his wife, and drive up to
off they go.
Every Friday and Saturday. I'm like, damn, have kids.
Right.
So whenever we were outside, I make sure Max was on his best behavior. They had a dog. Oh, it's the same thing. You'll be fine.
Yeah, sure. You'll love it.
You'll be fine. So I can't wait
That's
for him
awesome.
to come back, because Harrison Cooper has his handful, and he's a great dad, but you know what?
Yeah.
Life did change. And so
it does change.
Apologize.
It changes everything. And then what happens, too, is the kids get older. Here's the thing. You were mentioning Hoboken before. We were very cool.
Yes.
My kids don't realize that.
We were in a band, everybody. Rob and I.
Yeah, we were in a punk band that was fun, and we were very cool, and we played in clubs, and people thought we were hip, and we filled some rooms. We did our part. But these kids just don't realize how cool we once were, and it's hard to explain that to them. That just doesn't change, I suppose.
I need a couple of the clips from our band days so I can use them. We definitely got to bring it into the podcast now.
Oh yeah, that'll work.
No, but
then we could do some sound drops.
We could discuss some of the lyrics.
yeah, really the whole point. That'll be great. The whole point of our band was the fact that we were cool. We were trying to tell everybody. We were really trying hard to let people know how awesome we were.
Yeah,
before we even had kids.
Get Babes, and it was how we got babes.
Yeah, right. And the other guys didn't. All the other guys complained about how they couldn't get girls, and that song was about how it really wasn't that big a deal for us.
You get me the clip, or you can put the clip in the group. Let's get some feedback.
I could do it.
Maybe we can finally get that recording contract we were going for.
Yeah, right. We've been aiming for all these years. We'll work on it through the club. So, don't ask us to make any more music, because we recorded literally 8 songs, and we were like, that's we're done at 8, no more.
we were hoping to get picked up 20 years later, and then we could just albums.
Well, that was when we would play those. We would play all those shows. They say, "Well, you have any more songs?" We'd say, No, that's pretty much it. That's all we got. Matter of fact, one time, remember, we played a set one time where they asked us to keep going. We just started all over from the beginning.
Well, they were a big hit the first time round.
Yeah, right. We figured, what the heck? Maybe they'll like them the second time.
But we ended up finding our niche. It was biker bars and college kids.
Yeah, they dug us.
Which both consume large amounts of alcohol, so that was kind of a precursor.
And evidently, we were huge in Toledo.
Oh yeah, you told me about.
We were very big in Toledo, Ohio, which we never. And Virginia Tech liked us for a while there too. Yeah, thanks to Mr. Jeff Peterson, who's a member of the club, yes, who really kind of spread the music around and made sure that we got out there.
He's our marketing rep.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, I guess so. You mentioned my kids, and you mentioned being an uncle for 21 years. And really, I have to say that one of my biggest sources of pride as a dad/uncle is, both of my brother's kids. We're blessed to have another brother, Tom, who has 3 awesome kids too. And your kids are so much fun. And I don't get up to New Jersey as much as I'd like, but when I do, one of the things I really like to do, and I think this is part of the club, is being a good dad as an uncle. I think that's a point of it. Whether it's your friend's kids or your brother's kids or your sister's kids, whatever the case may be. I love catching up with yours. And just like last time I was up there and being able to see Max and Haley and Stella and to hug them and to talk to Stella and to listen to her tell me stories. And it's a big thing for me. I love that. So I love it so much. I can't say it enough. And to watch Haley play music and to hear her have fun and be who she is and watch these kids become who they are going to be. I just wanted to bring that up because it's an important part of fatherhood for me, being an uncle.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think people should know that Rob lives in Virginia. We grew up in Clifton, New Jersey. I have my practice in Clifton. I live 15 minutes away from there now, so I never really left. My younger brother Tom, we're talking about, we'll have to have on the call too at one point. Get him in here. He's down in Princeton with his 3 kids. You moved down to Georgia at one point, which is a really big break from where we were. The distance was tough. You've since moved to Virginia over the last bunch of years, and we don't live anywhere near each other. So, and I called you today. I said, I just want I want to add some color to the podcast. I want to add some dimension to the podcast. I want it to be a little bit different, and I think this is perfect on a couple levels. You and I, you always make me laugh. You're like the funniest person I know, and I appreciate your focus on just cultural stuff and movie stuff. And in the group today, I put the thing with the cowbell. Did you see that one?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So there's just things that you could add to this that I think that we'll be able to reach out to so many more dads. So and we get to talk more frequently, which I think will be really helpful. And I would love to get guests on here, but you can put a third person here at the same time. So it's this will be the Opie and Anthony of the Good Dads of the Good Dads program. And we get some people in here that want to talk about topics, great. But, we can cover so many things together. And I think this will be a lot of fun. So next call, maybe if you guys have listened and gone to episode 1, right? My story is, I think, an important part of understanding, why I'm doing what I'm doing. And
it's all my fault, evidently.
In that story, because I go down this road of alcoholism and this, down to even suicide, right? And it's part of the story, not to make any light of alcoholism, addiction, and suicide, but we're gonna anyway, because that's the way we do life, right? So, but the reality is, my first drink at 10 years old, you showed me the liquor cabinet, and that's what started it. I think we can get into great conversations about that in podcasts to come. So let's hit on fun stuff like that. I want to bring light to it. I want to bring seriousness to it because there's guys out there that, I think having fun is important. I think that understanding different ways that guys are dealing with the same issues is really important. So, and I really appreciate you saying yes to go. As a matter of fact, this is my thought. I'm thinking about dropping this podcast just today, right? I usually drop podcasts on Tuesdays, right? I'm going to drop this one today and just edit it up, throw it out there. So and so I don't have to edit so much. Guys, if you're on this podcast, if you're hearing this here, there's a couple things that I want you to do, okay? First of all, there's a website. It's called www.thegooddadsclub.com, thegooddadsclub.com, excuse me. Got caught up on my words there. On that website is the place for the podcast. All the episodes are there, okay? On the right-hand side of the website, I want you to subscribe to the website, right? You put your email in there. You'll get our email, our newsletters. You won't miss any podcast. You won't miss what's going on in the club. That's a great place to do that. Also, if you're listening to this on either Stitcher or iTunes or, there's a Google Play or whatever it is out there, even Spotify, then leave us a 5-star review. This really helps us. It helps us know that you're out there. Leave comments and anything you want to talk about. We'll do all that. All right. So I want to.
What the hell is Stitcher?
What's that?
What the hell is Stitcher?
Stitcher's like iTunes. Stitcher's like
really.
iTunes. Well, yeah. If you don't have Apple, it's Android basically.
Okay.
There's also one. I don't know if I'm on it. I don't even know how to get on that stuff. I don't really know a whole lot of what I'm doing when it comes to marketing and stuff. But I'm learning as I go. But so there's another one called Podcast Addict. I don't know how to get on there yet. Maybe I should look into it. But anyway, so this way you don't miss any of the episodes. I'm really looking forward to the format going forward. So Rob, any last quotes you want to say here and want to leave us? Don't worry about it. You'll be on again. So if anything you forget, you can.
No, I love the group. And keep in mind, I was telling you this before, Walter White from Breaking Bad, that whole story of his success and then ultimate demise began just after his 50th birthday. I recently turned 50. So, there's no better time than the present to really start something you want to do.
Look what he accomplished.
Get out there. Right. Look what he was able to accomplish. If he was able to hold it together, things would have worked out great. He really nailed most of that in the first year, between 50 and 51.
He's a startup business. Death was at his door.
Yeah.
And look at all the people he made happy.
Yeah. He made all those people happy. He made a ton of money, and he was all about rock and roll. So just saying, just keep that in mind. It's never too late to change your life. Look at Walter White.
All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next episode. Peace out. Have a good day.
Thank you.